some food na can. Yeah, but of course pesa zimechangiwa saizi sio nyingi. As I said, it's around 80,000 because on the account saizi ukifungua utaona ina reflect at least 20,000. Then guys from Diaspora have deposited around 60,000, of which I have those records in my email. Immediately the account will be running, then hizo nini zitakuwa displayed hapo, pesa zenye zimetolewa, pesa zenye zimeingia, so that we don't act like this government. Yeah, wanaenda huko kwa sijini auditor general, they fake the receipts look and everything, alafu wanakuja kutuambia hapa. Anyway, hapo ndio tumefikia saa hizi, na you guys, I feel like some of us nini wanajaribu kunini kurudi nyuma bana. This is the time yenye sasa sisi wote inafaa tukwe tunashikana mkono, inafaa tukwe tunasema hizi space tuko wapi, tukutane tuone venye tunaweza host hizi space, hata kama ni anonymous, ni mahali fulani, so that we can give directions. Yeah, tumekuwa tuna host hizi spaces, hakuna mtu amekuwa anatuambia tu host. Ni mimi nimekuwa najituma, Afra amekuwa anajituma, Pipita ayo Nyakundi of course pia amekuwa anatusaidia kidogo hapa na pale. Presence yake tu hapa ina matter, because hata even as much as hataongea, but his presence matters a lot. So guys, we really need to move in as a unit, yeah, so that tukiongea tuongee kwa umoja, yeah, because I've been running the space, nimekuwa na run the space the whole night of course, na immediately ndio na Afro maker yake I had to dissolve that, ndio to join hapa. So that one should be the case each and every time. Mtu mwingine saizi akiweka space alafu we feel like that space kitu anaongelea hapo, maybe sitaki kusema ni relevant, but it should be talked in a single space, we dissolve that space, we join another space, ndio tukikuwa hapo wengi, at least tukiongea kila mtu anajua what is happening and the direction and the way forward. So back to you, Afro.
Thanks KOT for that action, because the function, can you touch on the function of the money, how it will be different from Hanifa's, at least ndo tujue watu wajue the function of this kit, this contribution. Unaenda kutoa watu kwa hospitali?
Zizi hizo pesa.
I thought so.
So the function of your money ni the transport and logistics. Yeah, kuna wase wenye wata feel like they need to come to the city na they can't afford some fare, so we'll try and see ni wangapi tunaweza lipia wakuje. Alafu another thing ni we also planning that tuangalie some eateries within town, hataki kusema ni gani, wale watu wataleta watu wao. Of course mtu ametoka Kisumu amekuja city, sometimes utapata maybe food inaweza kwa issue, so we just direct them waende wakule mahali, then the restaurant wanatupatia ile total, then we disburse the funds hapo ya food. So that's exactly what is the purpose of that money. Tulikuwa tunafikiria tutumie pia Hanifa hiyo account, but we felt like it is performing a different function, so ndio tuka opt to come up with a different account. So exactly that is the purpose of hizo pesa zenye mtakuwa mnatoa.
Haya, asante. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the movement, and the numbers when he puts them out there. Guys, let's do what Kenyans do. Let's stand up for each other. Let's come together. Nane has to be big, has to be successful. We need resources because we are coming to occupy. They will not believe. Japonji, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is thanks Cyprian and the co-host for this space. Personally I represent the diaspora in the UAE, and some of us have no idea where we should be channeling our funds. There is no direct line or something like that. And also a few observations we'd like to make is there is this fear of when someone gets arrested or someone gets kidnapped, as they do, what happens next. I've seen a lot of accounts and people losing their mobile numbers and their accounts. So we are the Gen Zs, we should be ahead of tech and everything. we should, I feel like we should know exactly what to do in case someone is kidnapped in terms of securing the account. And also, if we could have someone on the ground during protests inside the media who will be capturing all those moments, so we can actually use those real time, like videos or photos, in case the government says that, like they have no proof or anything when someone is shot, or because going to the media and getting the we just to be like, because when we speak here, a lot of people from the undercover cops are just listening. That's a must, but my other worry is like, how do we infiltrate them, like, because we're going to organize Nane, which is a big thing. Apart from our funding from the diaspora, we would like to see it succeed, based on the fact that uh, some logistics that you're not talking about. Like, I know a lot of people have spoken. They're like, they fear going to the streets from Nairobi because of being like the small wigs. The small wigs are like, they are not being identified by the big wigs. So, is there a way that you can educate, apart from the civic education you're doing on the ground? Is there a way that you can educate people, like how to take care of the account, two-factor login in X? Like what to do in case you are arrested? Because this is a vague point that is not being talked about more. Like for example, you're arrested by the police. What's the procedure? What happens next? You're kidnapped. You're taken to an unknown place. They take your phone, which they have often done, and they don't give back the phone normally, and you need to go back to your account and mobilize. My last point is that yesterday someone spoke in one of the spaces in Mombasa, saying that it seems like the process is being hijacked by the president or by the political class. And how do we counter that? Is there a way we can counter that, so that we after they leave their rally, we can speak behind and inform them of what's being said as not true? Is there a way we can come up with videos, something viral, to counter on what they are saying, because we are losing a lot of people in Mombasa, technically speaking. So I think that's all for me now, and thank you once again for the space. Kudos. Nane.
Thank you so much, Ja. On your latter point, there's been a lot of fact checking going on the timeline, especially every speech Ruto has been giving, especially in Mombasa, and even the Mombasa speakers have said they're still for Nane. They're still Ruto must go. Most of these projects Ruto is launching, he is relaunching. Imagine last year alienda huko ka launch. They have done nothing new in the county. They have just come to relaunch, and they are buying hired crowds. The crowd has not changed. You can't buy, like, his game is up. His time is up. Tumejua utapeli ya Ruto and this regime, and that's why civic education has to be pushed downstream to the village, to our cousins, to our brothers, to our sisters, to everyone ambayo ako ushago, so they can know this new mindset and this new Kenya that we're fighting for. But you're bringing in awesome points, but the fourth estate media over the day have been muzzled. They have been muzzled, and some of them are just speaking the government's talking points. They literally depend on the government for a lot of this advertising money that they get. And that's why bloggers like Cyprian Nyakundi have been doing the Lord's work. And we have to give him his flowers in terms of whistleblowing and just showing the rot in this system that's going on. But we are doing our best wherever we can, and that's why we are calling upon each and everyone under the sound of my voice that do your part for Kenya. This is your country. We only have this country. Hakuna mali ya kuenda. Kenya has to be up in the top, in the table of nations. We are very wealthy, and this manufactured poverty ends on Nane. Wallahi, it ends on Nane. She's a Kenyan. Are you a Kenyan? Karibu kwenye mic. She's a Kenyan.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Yes, I am a Kenyan for Kenya. Now, listening to each and every speaker here, speaking for the majority, a few things I'd like to point out is that we've all seen what's happening in Venezuela. It will not be, let me just say, it will not be an isolated case to countries anymore or to states anymore. And I think what now the government is trying to do, as you've seen, is they're trying to neutralize the bad name that has been going around. Because tell me why 2 years, 3 years down the line, we have a president who is going around in his cars, like he's campaigning, trying to mobilize people's attention. And some bloggers like Bianca Naomi, sensitizing how good he is. Because I belong to the school of thought whereby if you are doing something good and something visible and something that is working, if you are working and really delivering, you shouldn't need to tell us or tell anybody, whether in a bigger capacity in the country, at your workplace, at your business, in your marriage, in your relationships. If indeed you are doing something right, you need not tell people this is what I am doing or I am not doing. And so by the mere fact that we have people given the authority to push an agenda of this is what has been done, case in point, Moses Kuria, before he was outed mercilessly, we couldn't see him posting what he's doing or what he's not doing or what he did, with his trips and, the trade CS and all. We just had him mouthing anything and everything. Yeah. I mean, for lack of a better word, what politicians do is what free education took effect in January 2003. We didn't need him to tell us he did it. He just actioned. Yeah. And so even as we wait towards the Nane on 8th August, I'd like to point out that who was talking before me, what I think Japunja said is we have people who are listening here, probably sent by the government to infiltrate and get to know what's happening. And so one thing I would like to point out is as people travel and as we wait to host those who will be traveling, one, let us be very careful about it. People should carry their national IDs because we will have a way for people to be stopped along the routes. You will see heightened security for not even traffic police officers. You will actually see the military and the police stopping about big carrier units, the buses, the matatus, and even personal vehicles, because there are people who will hitch rides. So let us carry our IDs. Two, let us walk in groups. If you know that you're coming, whether you're traveling for whichever reason, try not to be alone because they will try to victimize people who cannot defend, people who cannot voice themselves out. When you're a group, you have power. So that is very, as we host or even as we get to contribute towards the cause. And I'm glad that you have not mentioned KOT, you've not mentioned the eateries that we will be using. That is very nice because that's the one place they'll go. Two, when we plan on people traveling, can we also not point out the kind of vehicles that will be used, whether any buses and personal vehicles or money hired? Can we not point that out so that if we can have, you see the way Hanifa was having a number reach out to her on people who are in hospital and needing bills and that. Can we have a way of communication for people to know how to kupangwa so that even as though the space we have freedom, we don't have freedom, and we have identified that. Yeah, the freedom has been curtailed. So I would request that even as we host, and especially as we host, we will have chaos. This will be foreseen, whereby people will take opportunity to now cause harm. We will have opportunity for the government to infiltrate those who quote unquote are pushing for this change. And so you might find yourself trying to do a good thing, but ujipate bana umekuwa abducted and that's the end of you. So let us be very, very vigilant on the same. The last point I would want to point out, and I keep saying this, is change does not start from up there. And we've been singing on trying to have civic education at grassroots, but we have no idea how much we can get from law students who right now they're on holiday. We need to identify that. And I think we have lawyers in the house who can help us mobilize. We need law students who also understand the concept of the Constitution, because we cannot have people mobilizing and conducting civic education when you're not oblivious of what the Kadiba talks about. And because the majority have not read the Constitution, so it's very difficult to defend what you don't know. So when we start with law students, then the social media right now that's trending is actually Facebook, for some weird reason. We used to say Facebook ni ya watu wazee, but we've realized it is no longer about that. Instagram is not even doing much in terms of what we are trying to create as change. So can we have people I understand how to navigate around the social media platforms? Our parents now and our guardians and people back in the Ushago, majority now use smartphones. And even if they don't use smartphones, there is an easier way of doing this civil education. You've seen whereby during Christmas or Easter, wakati watu wanaeka in Ushago, those who have been in the Ushago, wanaeka like a public screen, and then they project movies. It still happens, and not even far. Like I was in a place in Juja the other day, and people are doing crusade using that kind of forum whereby wanna project the pastor and then the pastor on speaker. So we can use some of those things. It's the small things that we need to identify so that people can actually learn. We might not get to everybody, but if we get to a few will tell a few will tell a few. And by the time we get to Nane and even beyond Nane, then we have immense knowledge and awareness on why exactly we are pushing for change. Yeah. And finally, as I finish, thank you so much to each and every person who is taking this at heart. If you're not able to step out, kwenda maandamano, because truth of the matter is there are people who are in corporate here, and you cannot be in corporate and then you tokea maandamano. We have to understand that, but they can support financially. Thank you for that. Keep forwarding your contributions to whichever genuine platform will be put forward. For those who are not able, who are not in corporate or are not or are in business and you have a leeway, then by all means go out there. And by the end of this is that even at grassroots, when our politicians want to come back to us to tell us, we are sorry, we have changed, we need change, we have had, they haven't, and we can comfortably now defend our rights. Let's get into TikTok. TikTok has a lot of information. It might be difficult to navigate. I know I'm not speaking for my own, but there's a lot of information and movement in TikTok.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do people in corporate have PTO? Madam, she's a Kenyan. Do people in corporate have PTO? Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, please ask again.
I'm saying wonderful points. Your last point there of corporate Kenyans in corporate, do they have PTO, time off, pay time off?
We do. They do. But what
Can they
happens?
ask for leave on Nane? Because we need everyone. Is that not a right? Yeah, that's the message you should be saying.
They can.
That's the
Now
message.
listen to this. Listen to this. They can. Now what happens? There are some corporates that are flexible. I'll give you an example. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'll give you an example. You see people who work in banks. People who work in banks can take a day off, But even before you take a day off, there is what we call some banks. You sign a disclosure whereby you will not be cited in areas that have political, they call it political unrest. Yeah. You will also ensure that wherever you are not near anywhere where there is the political unrest. So you find you are torn between, do I protect my job or do I fight for my country? There are some corporates that are like, you will not take leave on that day. You will do what we call working from home, which is very common nowadays. So as you work from home, there are corporates that now have systems that are able to identify whether or not uko nyumbani. So there is the majority few that can be able to come out. And then there is the other part that enyewe, you get what I mean, yeah? You're between a rock and a hard place. So you're like, do I protect my job or do I fight for my country? And you want to do both. But it becomes a bit hard. Again, people like healthcare professionals, not doctors,